Hello, my name is Sam Bagby, and today we're going to be talking about coming-of-age tales. The coming-of-age tale has existed since the ancient world, and all the coming-of-age tales have similar structure. One of the earliest examples of a coming-of-age tale exists in Greek mythology with the tale of Persephone. Persephone serves as the archetype for the coming-of-age tale, as she is a female in a state of maturation who undergoes a transformation into adulthood. Another term for a coming-of-age tale is a Bildungsroman, which is the German term for a coming-of-age tale. Some modern coming-of-age tales are called Bildungsromans. The Bildungsroman is similar in plot structure to the modern coming-of-age tale. True Grit and Winter's Bone exhibit all of the common traits of a coming-of-age tale. Some traits of a coming-of-age tale are listed right here. The protagonist is in a state of maturation. In Winter's Bone, Rhea is in the ultimate state of maturation, as she is a young lady who is about to become an adult. Now, she has many adult responsibilities, but she still has a somewhat naive view of the world as she grew up in a rural area. Similarly, Mattie Ross in True Grit is in a state of maturation, and she is a clever young lady. However, she still has not been outside her town enough to know the dangers of the adult world. The next trait is the main character is presented as youthful or immature. In Winter's Bone, Rhea does not strike me as immature. She is quite mature for her age. She serves as a mother figure, as her own mother is an invalid, and her younger brothers are without a father, so she's actually quite mature. However, she is still presented youthfully as she is an adolescent. Mattie, on the other hand, in True Grit, is definitely immature. She still has a very naive view of the world. She is still overly confident in her own abilities. She tries to prove that she is able to handle her own business when she should let adults who have more experience do it, though I believe that her pursuit of the man who killed her father is an example of her trying to prove that she can handle the adult world, which she cannot yet because she is still too young. The next trait is a problem arrives. In both True Grit and Winter's Bone, there is a disappearance of the father. The difference is, in True Grit, the father is most certainly killed, and Mattie Ross wants to go off and bring him to justice. By contrast, there is only a suspicion in Winter's Bone that her father was killed. In Winter's Bone, it is believed that Rhea's father has skipped town to avoid a court date, but there is suspicion that he was killed, which is revealed later on in the book. The next point in a coming-of-age tale is the protagonist struggles to overcome the problem. Through the struggles which the protagonist undergoes, the protagonist matures immensely, and the themes such as responsibility and a sense of morality and revenge are revealed throughout the coming-of-age tale. The idea of morality surfaces when in a coming-of-age tale, or at least a modern coming-of-age tale, there is an experience where the main character is reduced to a state of helplessness and brought to near death. In True Grit, Mattie Ross falls into a pit filled with rattlesnakes and corpses where she feels that she cannot get out, and she can't until Rooster Cogburn is able to remove her. Unfortunately, her injury from the snake bite leaves her with an amputated arm later on in life. Similarly, in Winter's Bone, Rhea is taken to a barn where she is beaten and bloodied by a group of criminals. The descent into the snake pit is similar to the descent that Persephone undergoes when she is taken down to Hades by the god Hades, who rules the underworld. Hades and the realm that he lords over are called the same thing. He is that narcissistic. I digress. The character must make a difficult decision. This is more present in Winter's Bone than it is in True Grit. In Winter's Bone, the character, Rhea, is forced to decide whether or not she will join the army. She is eventually confronted by a military recruiter when she says she wants to join, and the military recruiter says to her that it indicates to her that it would be a bad idea for her to join the army on such an impulse if she has kids to look after, which she does. Finally, in the end, the character appears changed. This is very clear, and I have some quotes here that reveal that. Early on in True Grit, right here, when told that she cannot go with Rooster Cogburn to catch the criminal who killed her father, she argues that it's the same as coon hunting, which is a naive statement. But towards the end of the novel, she says, "I would marry an ugly baboon if I wanted to make him a cashier. I never had time to fool with it. A woman with brains and a frank tongue and one sleeve pulled up and an invalid mother to care for is at some disadvantage, although I will say I could have had 2 or 3 old untidy men around here who had their eyes fastened on my bank." This is an indication that she has come down to earth. Now, in True Grit, she certainly seems a bit jaded compared to how she was in youth, which is something that definitely evoked an emotional response in me. Similarly, there is a change in the worldview of Ree in Winter's Bone, based off of the first quote. When she is young, or towards the beginning of the novel, she says, "No thanks, I already got 2, not counting Mom." But at the end of the story, she says, "Nah, I'd get lost without the weight of you 2 boys on my back." She realizes that she can't do it alone. Humans are desperately in need of one another, and unlike what you think when you're an adolescent, you have to have other people supporting you. You cannot live completely independently. Humans are desperately in need of each other, and that is the overarching meaning of the coming-of-age tale. According to the catabasis of Mattie Ross in Cohen's True Grit, Portis uses the story of Persephone's descent into an underworld as a heuristic template for Mattie's experience. Persephone's descent into the underworld, in my interpretation, is an example of when one becomes an adult, or is becoming an adult. They have to undergo a transforming challenge that is often very difficult, and there's a lot of struggle that goes in, but that ultimately is what makes you who you are. Because she is able to leave Hades for part of the year, but she definitely has to live there with Hades for the winter, which is, in the Greek mythology, the reason why the seasons are the way they are. That winter is not a growing season. Persephone is the goddess of fertility, so she has dominion over the natural world in that regard. Similarly, True Grit is described as the tale of a 17-year-old Ree Dolly, an Ozark woman warrior with the weight of a brutal ancient world on her shoulders. I draw that as a connection to the tale of Persephone. Though Ree, do not misunderstand me, does not live in the ancient world. It takes place in a contemporary setting. In both tales, Winter's Bone and True Grit, the theme of mortality is introduced. In True Grit, Mattie Ross has a bit of energy about herself where she thinks she's indestructible, that nothing could happen to her that could seriously affect her life. But after the incident with the snake pit, she is forced to come out of the snake pit and get her arm amputated, which jades her. It brings her back to reality that she is not indestructible. Similarly, the theme of mortality is revealed when Ree decides to traverse a dangerous territory to prevent her family from becoming, quote, dogs in the fields with Beelzebub scratching out tunes. It may have been more in her interest to let the pieces fall where they may, but she felt that she had to protect her younger brothers, so she set out to prove that her father did not just skip bail. And what did she find out but that her father was killed, tossed into a lake after his death, at which point she cut off both of his hands to show them to the police. The corpse of his father was rotting, of course, when she found it. Coming-of-age tales have existed since the ancient world. True Grit and Winter's Bone display the key elements of a Bildungsroman and are traceable back to the ancient tales of ancient Greece and Rome and feature the same female archetype as Persephone, as a clever but somewhat naive woman. Thank you for listening to my speech. If there are any questions, please comment below. I will try to get back to them when I can. Thank you.